In this video, we'll be taking a look at 2 college football games happening on October 4th, 2023, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 4 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 2 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Jacksonville State versus Middle Tennessee State. The Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders welcome the Jacksonville State Gamecocks to Johnny Red Floyd Stadium for a midweek CUSA clash. The Gamecocks are riding high after a nail-biting 35-28 road overtime win against Sam Houston State, while the Blue Raiders are licking their wounds following a crushing 31-10 road defeat to Western Kentucky. The Jacksonville State Gamecocks look for their second road win to improve to 5-1 on the year. Jacksonville State has won 4 of its last 5 road games. Logan Smothers is completing 60.8% of his passes for 474 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Perry Carter and Quentin Lane have combined for 322 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, while Michael Petway has 8 receptions. The Jacksonville State Gamecocks ground game is averaging 224.4 yards per contest, and Malik Jackson leads the way with 505 yards and 3 touchdowns. Defensively, Jacksonville State is allowing 15 points and 310.8 yards per game. Drake leads the Jacksonville State Gamecocks with 36 tackles. Larry Worth has 2 sacks, and Kywan McCray has 1 interception. The Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders need a feel-good win to rebound from a 1-4 start. Middle Tennessee State has won 4 of its last 7 home games. Nicholas Vacciato is completing 68.1% of his passes for 1,168 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Elijah Metcalf and Holden Willis have combined for 447 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, while Justin Olsen has 17 receptions. The Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders ground game is averaging 127.6 yards per contest, and Jaden Krettel leads the way with 227 yards and 1 touchdown. Defensively, Middle Tennessee is allowing 31 points and 394 yards per game. Troff Lulin leads the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders with 38 tackles. Drew Francis has 2 sacks, and Deion Stanley has 1 interception. We're only halfway through the week, and we are getting Conference USA football this Wednesday night. This matchup will see the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders host the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. It has been a slow start offensively for Middle Tennessee, coming off last year's bowl game victory against San Diego State. Jacksonville State, on the other hand, has had an impressive start to their season, starting 4-1 and 2-0 in conference. I was surprised when I first saw this line in favor of Middle Tennessee. Even with the home spot, it is hard to find where Middle Tennessee has earned the right to be a favorite. This Blue Raiders team is 1-4, with their only win of the season coming against a football championship subdivision opponent in Murray State. Middle Tennessee has struggled defensively to start the year. They are coming off back-to-back games where they have allowed 31 points to both Colorado State and Western Kentucky. Despite some success throwing the ball, their offense hasn't found the scoreboard often, as they are averaging 19 points per game. If we look deeper into SP Plus rankings, Jacksonville State is ranked 97th 5 games into the season, while Middle Tennessee is ranked 118th. The Gamecocks running back, Malik Jackson, is coming off 2 straight games where he has rushed for at least 120 yards. Jacksonville State as a team has averaged 224 rushing yards per game this season. I like this fast-paced Jacksonville State offense to control this game with its rushing attack and continue the Gamecocks' fortune. Jacksonville State has been the better squad compared to Middle Tennessee State after the opening month of the season. Jacksonville State has won 4 of 5 games, with the only defeat coming against Coastal Carolina. The Blue Raiders have not looked good, and their only win occurred against Murray State, who does not play in the Football Bowl subdivision. Furthermore, the Jacksonville State running game is going to cause problems throughout this game against a struggling Blue Raiders defense. The Gamecocks are averaging a stellar 224 rushing yards per game, marking them 9th in the Football Bowl subdivision, and the Blue Raiders are pegged 74th in rush defense. Also, the Gamecocks are playing outstanding defense. Middle Tennessee State relies on the passing game, but it's going to be a challenge against an excellent excellent Gamecocks secondary. They are limiting opponents to only 197 passing yards per game. The Jacksonville State Gamecocks come into this game with a statistical edge that's hard to ignore. They're averaging 362.6 total yards per game and allowing just 310.8, compared to Middle Tennessee's 361.4 yards gained and 394 yards allowed. The Gamecocks' defense is particularly impressive, allowing only 15 points per game, which starkly contrasts with the Blue Raiders' average of 31 points allowed. Given these numbers and the Gamecocks' recent form, including a 35-28 overtime road win against Sam Houston State, I like Jacksonville to continue finding success on the ground in this game against the struggling Middle Tennessee defense. So the Jacksonville State Gamecocks to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Jacksonville State will run a lot, but they still have a quick offense, ranking 47th in offensive plays per game. The Blue Raiders' defense has been exploited, allowing 31 points to Colorado State, followed by another 31 points against Western Kentucky in their previous bout. In addition, Middle Tennessee State has been generating yards in the air in recent games. They have collected at least 250 passing yards in 3 consecutive games and attempt a pass in 57% of their offensive plays. They will contribute to this total considering they have scored at least 23 points in 2 of their last 3 games. Jacksonville State is averaging 28 points per game, while Middle Tennessee is putting up 19 points. When you factor in the defensive stats, particularly Middle Tennessee's allowance of 31 points per game, a high-scoring affair seems likely. Jacksonville State's recent 35-28 win and Middle Tennessee's 31-10 loss indicate that both teams are involved in games where the points can pile up quickly. Both teams have shown offensive capabilities that suggest a high-scoring affair is on the horizon. I expect a barrage of scoring. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Florida International versus New Mexico State. It's a battle of Conference USA opponents as they do battle in a midweek matchup on the gridiron in the land of enchantment. The Florida International Golden Panthers are on the road as they make the trip west to take on the New Mexico State Aggies Wednesday night. Florida International had a bye last week. They were drubbed 38-6 at home by Liberty in their previous contest on September 23rd, failing to cover the line as a 10-point underdog. New Mexico State also comes off a bye. They lost 20-17 to Hawaii on the road in their previous game September 23rd, pushing the line as a 3-point underdog. In the all-time series between the programs, the teams have split 2 meetings, with Florida International taking a 21-7 triumph on the road in the most recent matchup on October 1st, 2022. Florida International comes into this game with a 3-2 record overall, but they looked awful in the last game. Florida International only scored 6 points against Liberty, and that was the difference as they were defeated by 32 points. Keon Jenkins had an awful game, completing 9 of his 21 passes for 133 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Florida International is averaging 21 points while their defense is giving up 26 points per game. The offense is ranked 107th while the pitching is ranked 74th. Jenkins on the season has thrown for 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. New Mexico State comes into this game with a 2-3 record, and they are coming off a loss in their last game. Against Hawaii, New Mexico State gave up only 20 points, but the offense managed only 17 points. Diego Pavia completed 9 of his 15 passes for 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also rushed 12 times for 97 yards. New Mexico State is averaging 30 points while their defense is giving up 26 points per game. The offense is ranked 65th in the league while the defense is ranked 80th. Conference USA is offering not just 1, but 2 Wednesday football games. Yes, you hear that right, Wednesday. The Panthers of Florida International will make the long cross-country trek from Miami to Las Cruces to take on New Mexico State. Neither team has played in over a week, and neither team is very good. Let's be honest, you are listening to this because you have no idea what either of these teams is like, but there is football to bet on a random Wednesday. So here we are. New Mexico State will host Florida International in a midweek Conference USA game on Wednesday, October 4th. Both teams are looking to get back into the win column after disappointing losses about 11 days ago. The Aggies lost to Hawaii on a last-second field goal, and the Panthers had no chance against Liberty. Florida International had won 3 straight games before getting clobbered by Liberty in their previous contest. and that game came at home. The Golden Panthers now have to travel to face a New Mexico State team that has been very good on the offensive side of things this season. Florida International has been gashed on the ground, allowing 212.6 yards per game and 5 yards per carry on the ground this season. Meanwhile, New Mexico State has averaged 6.1 yards per carry on the ground this season, in addition to 8 touchdowns. We've seen the Golden Panthers turn the ball over 9 times in their 5 games this season, which could short-circuit their opportunities offensively. The Aggies' running attack is averaging over 200 yards per game behind their dual-threat quarterback and a running back room by committee. This is what the Aggies will lean on to victory. The Panthers struggle against the run as they are giving up 214 yards per game on the ground, which ranks them near the bottom in college football. In this game, and playing at home, New Mexico State gets the clear edge here, so the New Mexico State Aggies to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Florida International comes into the game with wins over UConn and North Texas, but they were most recently smoked 38-6 at home against Liberty. The North Texas game was on outlier. All other games have been very low scoring. There isn't much punch to this offense, and they seem to be fairly uncertain what to do at quarterback. New Mexico State, for their part, burned us during 0 week when they were one of only 6 games going on, so we played it anyway, and they lost at home to UMass as touchdown favorites. They have a dynamic quarterback in Diego Pavia, and most games he runs the ball more times than he throws it. In fact, neither of these teams throws the ball all that much, and that is important to know. The clock should be moving most of the game as these two teams pound the ball at each other on the ground. It is also important to know that New Mexico State is the slowest offense in the country in terms of plays per game, and Florida International ranks only barely ahead of them. Both teams average well under 60 plays per game. Florida International enters this game having stayed under the total in 4 of their 5 games on the season. The Golden Panthers stayed under the number in both their road games this season. Florida International combined with Louisiana Tech to score 39 points to stay under the number of 57 and followed that up with a combined 41 points in a win over UConn to stay under the mark of 44 points. New Mexico State has stayed under the total in 3 of their 5 games on the season. The Aggies did go over in both their home games this season, combining with UMass for 71 points against a number of 45.5 points and then racking up a combined 79 points in a win over Western Illinois to obliterate a number of 54. With that said, last season's contest saw just 28 points between the two teams. The offenses will be slow-moving on Wednesday as it has been more than a week since they last played. There could be some rust, which means both squads are going to focus on the run game. New Mexico State has hit the under in 3 of their 5 games. The under is 2-0 when the Panthers have played on the road this season. We have 2 extremely slow, snail-like offenses. There are ways that this game turns into a high-scoring affair, but those ways probably involve mistake plays like kick returns, defensive scores, or short field turnovers. If these teams run normal offense, avoid turnovers, and just grind up and down the field, they should not have time to score 50 points. While we'll likely see more offense in this one, look for it to end up short of the number by a couple points, ending somewhere in the high 40s. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.